1, 2, testing. Okay. So for the winter schedule, we're thinking of taking out Sundays just for the winter. Yeah. So the only class that's popular right now on Sunday is the pushing hands class. So do you go away in the winter?
I have my ski vacations in the winter.
Yeah. What? Well,
Probably 3, 4 Sundays.
yeah. So that's why, like, if yeah, so that's why we were thinking during the winter months because of the holidays, and then during the January and February we have the Chinese New Year's, and we have those performances that we get booked on the weekends. So that would be a conflict of who can cover the classes. So for the winter months, we thought maybe take it out to the spring, and come back. So yeah. So what day would push hands be a good day to do, so that maybe we can fit it into between the schedule that we have. So what's a better day for you? But the thing is, Sundays was well, we have about 10 people there. But during the weekdays, during the mornings, most people work, especially the people that were coming. So if it was in the evening, is that too late? That's what we have to. Would it be too late for people? Oh, your glass of wine in the evening. Well, you can do that at any part of the evening. So during push hands might be the time to do it. Yeah. So we have to maybe. Yeah. And that is. Yeah, it will work for you then. Yeah. Or Saturday. You do come Saturdays? Yeah.
Try to stay focused for an hour and a half there, and then another hour push in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you schedule the class, I would try to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we should find out this Sunday what would be good for in general, or how it can be kind of blended or something. It's always which day. Okay, we'll line up. Is Monaco? No, not today. Charger? No. Yeah, it's over there. There's 2 wires there now. Okay, ready? We'll bow. Yep. 1, 2, and 3. Salute. Going to be like 70 degrees today. First exercise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. To the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. To your left. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. To your left. Center. Inhale, exhale. Okay, hands up again. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. To your left. Center. Inhale, exhale. Hands and waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, Peter. 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Center. Cross. Knees. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Tilt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Down. Rotating. 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center. Hands up. Pull in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Spread your feet. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, stretch it out. Switch. 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 Straighten the front knee. Switch. 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 Center. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. Shoulder roll. Reverse. And center. Okay, press, release, exhale, inhale. And stop. Deep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, wrists. Reverse. And center. Palms down. Bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, go side to side. And center. Okay, right foot down, insert needle. Switch. And one more. Okay, shake it out. Leg swing. Switch. Okay, shake it out. Side to sides. Switch. And center. Shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so grilling. Switch. Okay, center. Cross, open and close. Switch. Okay, center. Circular motion. Okay, lower hoop. Shoulder height. Elbows down. Okay, lower, palms down. Extend. Keep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, diagonal flying. Switch. Okay, center, cloud hands. Okay, palms down. Carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, infinity sign. Okay, form the fists. palms together. Strum the lute. Turn, draw the bow. Okay, fan to the back. Okay, raise the hand. Okay, palms down, deep breathing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, we'll go through the sequence. Okay, feet parallel. Okay, preparation. Okay, deep breathing. So, any questions? Any? Yeah, so in the beginning when you first learn the fundamentals, or you learn, typically we say cloud hands or brush knee movements, you're learning sort of upper body patterns, right? So cloud hands is a pattern. You move to the right, you move to the left. And Nan's question was, while you're doing the hand movements, are you transferring weight, or are you going from substantial to insubstantial? So that does happen even though you're standing in a 50-50 position, because the point between your feet is the center line. So that's where the feet will appear to be 50-50. But when you turn your body, and your torso, if it's becoming part of the relationship between the torso and the hips, then the hips is going to cause sort of a transition, but it's not obvious. Because the fact that I'm turning, so if you just stand here without doing the cloud hands, just hold your hands like this, and you turn, and you bring your awareness or your consciousness to the lower half of your body, do you feel that there is something going on there without actually shifting weight, just turning? What do you feel most when you turn? If you carry the feeling down to the soles of your feet, what do you feel? What do you feel? Yeah, what do you feel? So this is an experience. When you're doing movement and you're doing any kind of thing repetitiously, the experience and what you discover is what ends up happening as part of the practice. So it becomes a sensitivity, but it also becomes a factor that you say, oh, so now this is happening. But while we're thinking on a meditative level and it's no-minded, it becomes, well, I'm trying not to think of it, but you have to still be aware and conscious of what's happening to your body. So when we turn like this, if you can kind of explain to me what you feel it to the balls of your feet. So when you shift, if you start to bring sort of a sensitivity and awareness that the heel of your foot and the ball of your foot is attached to ground, right? If you roll your toes forward, you can feel like a gripping, right? If you release and relax the feet and you just turn and relax from the ankles up, what do you feel? You feel that the pressure in the soles of your feet actually go from the heel to the toe on each side. See? So, and then, now this is, I'm not even actually incorporating the knees, because the knees are fairly straight, but they're not locked. And when you turn, as a function of the turn, you start to feel like there's a shift. So what is that shift? It's the same kind of shift that happens here. Okay, so that's a function of. So when you're doing hand movements and it starts to become a function of, meaning that it's tied to something else, then the body will start to respond. But it's responding through your proprioceptive system, because when you turn, you change your center of mass. But when you're doing it slowly and it's soft, you don't feel the change as much, because it's not abrupt and it's not, so severe that it comes into light, right? So if I'm here and I turn, when I turn like this, if I'm incorporating my torso as a rotation, then there must be something happening in the bottom if it's tied to your torso. So if you add the footwork, this is where it becomes even more apparent that when I open my foot and then I start to turn, eventually I go to the ball of the foot. Because if I left it on the heel of the foot, I would sit backwards, right? So the center of mass is adjusting and compensating for the maintaining the balance. So when we're here, if I turn my foot first like we do in form, what would I do? I pivot on the heel. So in the leg work you would feel that, and if you continue to turn you would feel this. That becomes emptying. So that's the substantial and insubstantial part of the leg work. When my hand goes to here, and I'm in the vertical line, this side and this leg become one unit. That's sort of, we're talking about that article. If you're talking about in phase and anti-phase, meaning that in phase is that it's moving together on the same side, and the anti-phase is sort of counteracting on the other side, the contralateral motion. Because when this hand works with this leg and this, that's the contralateral relationship like this. But when I do this, like we're doing this type of thing, now this is over here. Now I'm solid there. When I put this foot down and I change my hand, and I start to turn to here, now this and this is that relation. That's the vertical line. But when I move and this goes down and this goes up, that's where you get the cross lateral connection. So now when you're doing your stepping and your footwork, the balance point becomes this. Because now there's the center, there's this going out, and there's that going out. The same thing that happens when we do this. Right? The crossing of the body. So this is the kind of training that actually most of us are not aware of. We just go through motions and go through the day. None of that's apparent to us, but the body, the brain actually isn't figuring any of that kind of stuff out because it's not being used. So most of us are pretty one-sided. So this is one of just the cloud hands is one of the big, important motions that allows us to understand what the solid and the empty is, what the right and left movement is, what's the vertical line, and the relationship between the upper and the lower body. So when I turn like this and I start to change, I don't really have weight on this foot. This is still light. It's just going through an idea that I have to plant. And then when I open, is there a relationship between this side and this side? And then you turn, is the relationship between the toe, the heel, the pivot, the shift, now it becomes toe heel again. So that relationship is constant throughout any of our movements, even though we're not always aware of it. But on a level of understanding, that's what has to happen. So when you're standing here, do you have a solid and empty? You do, if you're conscious of that concept. Because when you're first learning this, it's a motion. Then it becomes a pattern. But it doesn't become a concept of solid and empty. Now, solid and empty legs are solid and empty too. Meaning that when they're solid, that means, or think of it as active and passive. That's always a function of each other. If this is solid, there's a passive action because there's a downwardness and a separation. So when I sink, and I sink my elbow, that's the relationship. When I go up and down, your body becomes softer, and you create the positions based on the manipulation of skeletal structure. And so how do you do that? You take out the tension and you channel the motion as an up and down movement by sinking the elbow, relaxing the shoulder, turning to create motion. That's passive movement. This is active movement. So during the warm-ups or the fundamental training, the pattern is generated by a physical motion. I gather and recruit the type of action I need by learning to contract and relax the muscles to do this. Then when you learn to contract and relax the torso, then it starts to turn. Which is passive. So that becomes your intent. If I want this hand to pull this hand, then that will follow. If I want this hand to drive this hand, then that. So it depends on the amount of strength and the degree of action that you want to happen. Now, if you use it functionally, if I go like this, then this would be the dominant movement. This one would have to follow. But if this is the one that I'm using, then this would be the driving, and this would be the following, or the lead and follow. So this really, I'm not doing much, just sustaining this. This is my action. In other words, if I was focused on this lower arm, and he's over there, I'm over here, and we both turn, this becomes the intent of the motion. Now we feel we're contacting here. He's putting pressure, I'm putting pressure, right? So do you feel strength there? So if I did this, if we're just here, and I start to put a bit of strength here, and he responds to that, I don't need to put any strength here. Now, if he puts strength and I don't want to resist it, and I let go, then I'm here. But my arm went with the force, his force. So that's yielding. So do you understand? Follow that? So it depends. So this is active. Now he feels strength. And I'm compensating. I'm balancing my force against his force. If his force is greater, I can either meet it or yield to it. You see? It becomes yielding and responding to the fact. So you don't see the passive motion, because what happened was when he went that way, I went that way. Right? So that's actually not, I actually changed my position, but I didn't increase the intensity of the strength. In fact, I negated it. So that happens when you do this, right? If I move this way, and I move this way, and I move this way, depends on whether the force is going in the direction or opposite the direction, right? So if you're pulling a rope, I can go like this. If I'm pulling a rope and then I want to transition to here to take my step, like the people that do mime, that's what's happening. You connect and disconnect the body to create a motion that appears to look like what it's supposed to. Yeah. You don't have to actually think about it when you're letting it happen by itself. But before you can let it happen by itself, you have to be conscious of a concept that if I'm here and I start to create a cloud hand motion, and I'm using the rotation of the body, so the body is turning, so my arm doesn't have to do this, right? If I'm doing this and I'm just using my arms, which is what most people do, use your arms and not actually connected to each other. It's just there's this one, there's this one, there's this one, and there's this one. When you first learn the cloud hand, you're doing this. And then you turn your torso. So if I turn my torso, that becomes a passive motion, right? Because if I want to make a square, I do that. If I had a pencil and I did this, I drew a line. If I had the pencil and I did that, I drew the line, right? Same thing. But one was intentional, the other one is created, right? So you created a line without actually, you know. But we initiated with active movement, because when I went like this, that created active motion. When I did this, created the passive motion. When I went like this, that created the active motion. And then when I went like this, that's an integrated mode that blends together, creating an active passive action. So where's the active passive action? In the leg. Now, it's releasing. So I sink my elbow. And then it becomes passive. When I shift my weight, that's passive. Active and passive. This pressed down, this lifted because I sank. I turned, so there's a continuation of the motion. Because I'm stopping it in the phases of motion, you see this. I'm horizontal, so I'm here. So in order to create that, there's two things that happens. I lift and I sink. I sink and I turn. Now, because this has to go down, I have to balance this motion. So did I sink down with the arm, or I bent my knee? If I bend my knee and I reach out like this, the force of this and the force of this become a balance. So the force isn't created. It's created by gravity and a shift of your body, right? So that's what the body is learning and understanding, but it's pretty sophisticated ideas, because the body doesn't know how to do this. It's a concept, right? It's a concept, a yin and yang, balance and motion. So if I'm here, I'm like this. When I make my transition between this and this, and this, and this, and this, the conscious intent of the motion as I shift is throughout the whole body. Because if I went like this and I lost this because the level of connection is gone, then I don't have any structure there. So the structure comes in from the geometry of position. Geometry of position is vertical, horizontal, square, elbow down, elbow out, oblique, vertical, oblique, vertical, square, angular, out. So all of the geometry of your positions are defined in this space. And your body has to track it, your brain has to track all of these things almost simultaneously, because you're always passing through specifically horizontal, vertically, oblique, because you can't get from this position without passing through here. You can't get from this position without passing into vertical. But you can't do anything else other than that once it gets to there. So either you do this and back, like brush knee, or you do this. I turn my hand, now I can go like that. So the fact that you can turn your hand allows you to go down. So when you go down, it's like this. So you reach your limit, that's the extent. So to compensate and then to create the next action, I have to do this. And then the hands have to turn. And they merge and separate, combine, one. This has to come to here. This comes through here. But I can't come through because it's going to hit this hand, so I have to turn. I have to leave enough space for the hands to pass through. So that's like stick figures when you're drawing, an image of a person. Those lines, So we're going through the basic robotic movement, like this, right? That's all. And then the feet are doing essentially the same thing. So each component becomes this connection of, that's isolating, open, shift, pivot, shift, step, pivot. So that's what happens in the legs. So when I say motor skill and body intelligence, is those kind of things. And is it important for the average person? Probably not. But is it important to prevent age-related degeneration? Probably it is. Because when we stop moving, and we stop moving efficiently, then you start to break down. Right? So, but because this is so complicated to learn, 99.999% of the people won't do it. So that's why the classes are so small. Because once you learn the form, people don't see enough benefit from it. Why? Because they're just doing movements in space that really is not related to anything that's tied to the physiology of your movement, the mind-body connection, the neurons in your brain, the plasticity of the brain, all the stuff that's required to stay alive and functional is tied to this, to movement. But because we don't really pay attention to movement, we just do it. When it doesn't happen anymore, you say, well, why? And they just use this simple term. You're getting old, right? Everybody's getting old. Everybody's deteriorating. Why? We stop using it. It's as simple as that. But we never learn to use it, really, unless you did something that teaches you this. So, there's the science out there, but is there a method to make it better? Only something like this. Otherwise, you'd have to develop a pill. And then, we talk about this sometimes, automation and stuff that they're doing in cars that, what do you call that? What do you call that? Artificial intelligence, right? But artificial intelligence it's artificial. Right? A human has to program it to do that. So the good thing about that is that you can replicate things over and over. So it's good for automation in production to make things like computer chips and all that stuff. Because you can make it and it replicates things, millions of them over and over again. But, for the human body, you can't do that. It's too complicated. So, at some point they give you a chip and your body's going to move like this. Possibly, but will be limited. Why? Because the person programming that chip has to know enough about movement in order to develop that chip. So, can they do 50,000, permutations and all the stuff that's required just to move your fingers like this, right? Never mind moving your hands and doing this while you're doing your hands and doing cloud hands. How do you get all that to happen? I just did that because I felt like doing it, but how do you do that? You have to have a program. But do I have a program to that? No. It's only because I know how to do this, and I know how to do this, and I combine the two, and now it's like this, right? And am I going to combine the legs with the up and down? This is rotating right and left. This is going up and down, right? So the hand, is there a benefit to doing this? It's actually good for your circulation. And you shake like this. And shaking, it's called shaking. When you shake your body, it takes coordination to relax and allow your body to shake. So you have actually a system like that in your body that makes you shake. When you have chills or you're very cold and you go into this where the body responds and you start to shake, or when you're sick and you're shaking, that's what's happening. But that's in your system. It's It's part of, you know. So I don't know if that answered the question, but the thing is, we went from this to all of this. So how long does it take to develop that understanding? It's not that physically you can't do it, because as long as you mimic movement, you'll be able to copy it. But the thing is, can you understand it? Does the body understand it? So it's kind of a back and forth thing. You reach a certain stage, I call them thresholds, and then your body, the movements have entered subconscious. Then you have to relearn it and re-understand it, and then your body will start to pick up and change. And, believe it, you probably don't sense it yourself how much you've evolved and how much you've improved over time. But I can see, big differences and changes. But it's the ones that practice more that get the biggest benefit or come to class more often. So when Barkley first started, he was pretty stiff. You must feel a tremendous difference in how you move because it's changed. It took maybe 2.5 years. The first year was the toughest, and then it evolved. Now when he moves, his legs didn't move before. They never did this. Not in a relationship like the way it's happening now, because he does it 3 or 4 times a week now. So that's the difference. So if you do it once a week, that's how you evolve. It'll be slow because it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. It doesn't evolve. But when you're doing it consistently, it's going in here, and the brain starts to pick up on it. And what the brain tells the body is that this is what's happening, and then it figures it out that it's going through those things that normally would need another human to do it if you're making a chip. But you're doing this inside your own body, and that figures it out. Yeah, we got 10 minutes, so let's pick it up from the kicks. We'll pick it up from the kicks. Okay, so that's all theoretical, but it's actually real. First kick, second kick. Heel kick. Brush knee and push and continue. Planting punch, turn, parry, and punch. Beat the tiger. Stroke down, go to the back, beat the tiger. Lower hoop, cross the arms, heel kick. 2 punches to the ear. Parting leg twice. Turn. Parry and punch again. Step up and form the fist. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. Cross hands, oblique, brush knee. Single whip. Part the horse's mane. Step up. Part the horse's mane. Step up. Stroke down. Part the horse's mane. Turn. Cross corner. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Single whip. Cloud hands. So Nan, didn't you say you had to leave early? Hook your wrists. Single whip. Downward posture. Snake sticks out tongue. Pull down. Step up. Golden cockerel. Step down, press and kick. Golden cockerel. Carry tiger to the mountain. Hold the ball. Shift. Step up. Raise the hand. Bend from the waist. Stork flaps wings. Turn. Brush knee, push. Insert the needle. Fan to the back. Turn. Stroke down. Parry and punch. Step forward, form the fist and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Step up, grasp the sparrow's tail. Hook your wrists. Second set, or third set of cloud hands. Palm strikes face. Turn, single lotus. Left side brush knee and push. Right side punch down the crotch. Step up to grasp the sparrow's tail. single whip. Second downward posture. Cross hands. Retreat. Palm strikes face. Turn. Double lotus. Draw bow to shoot tiger. Step up. Palm strikes face. Turn. Parry and punch. Step up. High pat the horse. Step up. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Hook your wrists. Single whip. Hold and reverse the ball. Diagonal flying. So that's the form. So deep breathing. Inhale. So even my teacher, teaching all the years that he taught, it all came down to me. I'm the only one who actually carried on his tradition. Yeah, from when he was in China, Hong Kong, immigrating to America. Of all the people, no one ever wanted to do it, and I decided to do it in 1996. But I've able to capture a group of people, anyways, many more than he had, that actually spent a lot of time with it and want to keep this going. So as a teacher, you're very fortunate to have anyone that even listens to you, and they want to spend the same amount of time. So it's just how traditional arts are. It's like that with any type of art. So to have a following, and it's not, it's a struggle just getting people to stay with it. But the average is maybe 1% of 1% stay each year. So I've been here 26 years. So we probably have about 30 or 40 long-term students that have been there. But the new people, they're always come and go, they come and go. So that's nothing compared to what's, in the number of people in the world. That's why it's really such a small niche. You can't even see it on, on a speck on your pinky nail. That's how few people do it that stay with it. But if you've stayed with it and you have an interest, why would I spend so much time thinking and trying to understand this? Because I see a real value in it, and it's very rare that people ever get to a stage where they start to understand it. So if you capture a bit of what your teacher offered, and then carry those ideas, and then add to it your own understanding, because you still evolve. You can't. It's not at a standstill. What a teacher teaches you is just their knowledge, and that knowledge has to expand. But you don't go wild with ideas. You have to follow guidelines, principles, and it has to make sense. So tying it to the stuff that I talk about, it always is evolving, because people that are here are evolving. So if you don't evolve together, then it just goes away. All right, ready, bow. Okay, good.